Okay, so now that we know the direction of the company and we know the rules to play by, let's take a look at some of the tools and chemicals that we'll use to win. Okay, so this is your bay. This is where you spend the majority of your time working, and behind me is every single thing that you'll need to detail a car through and through. But before we dive into those, let's take a look at some things that will stay consistent across any detail donkey location. All locations will also be equipped with this GE Profile 2-in-1 washer dryer combo. Now this is what you're going to be using for the microfiber towels. Another thing you'll see is some type of rack like this. Now this is where you're going to be putting the floor mats, so the WeatherTechs or the carpet floor mats. And you'll notice that this is just an excellent way to keep them off the floor and keep them out of your way. It's just where we store them to let them dry and work on them and get them to perfection. And lastly, one thing your location will always have is a designated spot for keys. Now, you're always going to want to keep the customer's keys here because when you're doing a walkthrough, you don't want to be frantically searching for where the customer's keys at. So always look for the designated spot where the customer's keys go. Okay, now let's dive into some of the stuff that you'll actually be using on the cars, starting with the blower. Now this air cannon is actually dual purpose. So we use this to blow out the interiors. It's really just to get the bulk of the material out. And it's also used for drying the exteriors when they're wet. So it's a really great way to get all the water out of the cracks and crevices, but also just blowing the bulk of the mess out of the interior as well. Okay, so up next is the steamer. This is one of the most versatile machines that you will use. This is what really makes a detail a detail. So with the steamer, it's got a cap at the top. Never open it when it's hot or pressurized. It will blow up in your face, but it just gets removed. You insert the water, you put this on nice and tight and plug it in, wait 5 minutes and you're good to go. So it'll heat up on its own. The little light will show green and you're ready to steam. Now with the steamer, you have two attachments. You have the base attachment, just the regular trigger gun. I like to call it the nipple attachment. It's not even an attachment, it's just the gun itself. But that's what you're gonna use for your cup holders, cracks and crevices, all that good stuff that we'll get into. But you also have this little guy. This is a triangle attachment that we wrapped a microfiber towel around. This is what you're gonna be using on sensitive surfaces, such as your seats, your carpet, and all that good stuff. And as you can see, it literally just slides in and then clicks. And then that's where you can go ahead and start steaming your cloth and upholstery surfaces. But I just wanted to show you guys a baseline for the two attachments. Up next is the vacuum. Very self-explanatory, this thing sucks. Okay, getting a little bit more advanced now, we have our extractor or the wet vac. So this is the Aqua Pro. Basically, to remove it on the insides, you take the top off like that. Here you have your dirty water and your clean water. So this always just needs to be filled and you have clean water in there. It goes on just like that and you're ready to go. You can plug it in and you'll notice you'll have two buttons. So you have the vacuum and then you turn on the water. So to turn on the water, you click that, you turn that on, and then with this little nozzle, you can press that trigger, it'll spray water as you vacuum as well. That's extracting the seats or the carpets. And a bonus tip for this one, you're always gonna wanna clean out that dirty water compartment when you're done using it because it will stink. And this one actually needs cleaned out right now. Okay, so we use a ton of different towels and mitts here, but here's some of the most common ones that you'll see, and every other one is just fair game. But if they look like this, you're gonna wanna know what they are. So starting off first, we have our basic Car Pro drying towel. This is what you're gonna be using. You can use both sides of the towel to dry the vehicle. Very self-explanatory. Next up, we have our wheel mitts. So these are gonna be what you're using in the wheels. These never touch car paint. It is just for the wheels. Next to that, we have just a standard wash mitt. This is what goes on the paint to actually wash the car. And then these two types of towels, these are gonna be the most important. So unless you're a bishop and you're doing a ceramic coating, do not touch these towels. These are ceramic coating, paint correction specific towels. These are just for the bishops to use. You don't wanna be that guy that's cleaning out a cup holder with one of these really expensive towels. So just a little side note for that. With these are called the blue diamond towels. So these are made specifically for glass. You must use these on glass. I cannot stress that enough. If you use any other towel on glass, it will streak. These are the only ones that can get it completely streak free. So feel free to use these on the glass and that's it. Okay, so when it comes to washing a car, these are the items that you're gonna need. Obviously, a pressure washer is the name of the game. We'll show you how to hook this up later. And then you'll need 3 buckets. So one of these is gonna be a wheel bucket, which has your wheel brush and your tire brush. And you're also gonna wanna put that wheel mitt in said bucket. And then you have your wash mitt. That's gonna go in the soapy water, and then this is just gonna be regular water. And that's what you'll need to wash a car. Okay, so up next we have our drill and drill brushes. The two types, you got the cylinder and the circle. Now the cylinder one's gonna be used primarily for dog hair within the carpets. This is what you're gonna use. to get in between the seats, to agitate, and to basically break free anything that's embedded in those stubborn carpets. Now, after that, you got the circle one, which is primarily used for cleaning WeatherTech floor mats, really. So you'll pressure wash them, use some Dawn dish soap, and then this is what you use to agitate the floor mats to get everything broken up and back to clean. Okay, now, so we have a variety of different brushes here. These two are primarily made for loosening up dog hair. So if the drill brush doesn't get it all, you can use this little triangle with the different teeth to break that up. Now, this one is also a dog hair remover, but its primary purpose is putting stripes into the carpeted floor mats to give it that nice detailed look. But again, these are made for dog hair. These are what you're gonna use on the interior. So this is a stiff brush. This is if something's being kind of stubborn in the vents, you can kind of reach in there and dig it out with the stiff bristles. This is gonna be your dust brush. You will always use this for a final vacuum, just quick little touch-ups. If you hold the vacuum next to it and you kind of go like that, it blows all that dust into there. It's a really great de-dusting tool. And then lastly, this is the one you're gonna use 99.999999999% of the time, where you're gonna be putting CarPro inside on this brush and painting the interior and wiping it all down. So this is what you're gonna use to get in cup holders, door jams, all those little tiny spots of the door. So this is what you're gonna use. Up next, we got the ozone machine. This is what you're gonna use if a car really smells or if it has any sort of mildew or anything like that in it. It's always gonna be on the hold setting. And all you have to do is just plug this in, close the car up, make sure it's sealed, and just let this run in there for about 30 minutes. That's gonna get rid of a lot of the smell. And lastly, this is your chemical cart. So this is where all the chemicals that you'll need will be stored. And let's see what goes on this cart. So to start, we have a wheel and tire cleaner. We have a chemical called Inside. This is what we're gonna use on the interiors, called Inside. Next up, we have door jam juice. Essentially, it's just Johnson & Johnson baby soap with some water. Next up, we have our tire shine. This is P&S tire shine, also used on the floor mats. Up next, we have our bug remover, self-explanatory. Invisible glass, that's gonna be your glass cleaner. Our soap, we use Meguiar's Hyper Wash as our soap. This is what we use to extract seats. It's literally just Dawn dish soap, also works on the floor mats, in a pump sprayer. Up next, we got our foam cannon. This isn't a chemical, but since the chemical goes in it, we'll show you that. Then we have our Geon prep spray. You often hear this called eraser. It's really just a quick wipe off detailer. If you have little touch-ups and stuff, it's streak free. And then lastly, this is the protection that we put on. This is the Aerospace 303 waterless sealant. So if you hear anybody say, hey, grab the sealant, this is what they're talking about. It'll be in a spray bottle form, not in the jug, but that's it. And there you have it. So that's everything you're gonna need to operate in your workspace and on a car. So with that, we'll hop into detailing an interior.